Hi kids, great to see you and thanks so much for tuning in. I've got 3 children. I normally say 3 children, one of each. Because the youngest, if he'd have been the first, he'd have been the last. Anybody who's ever met him thinks that he's not from this planet. He's from a planet like Mars or somewhere like that. But people who really know him think he's from somewhere much further away than Mars. And ever since he was a tiny baby, he's been a nightmare. At the age of 2, my wife was just getting some petrol, you know, at the petrol station as it was then. And he was tied up in the back, you know, on his baby seat. She goes and pays. When she comes out, he's somehow broken out of his baby seat, dropped the window, climbed onto the roof, and he's standing on the roof, stark naked, with people around laughing. I mean, most of us didn't behave like that till we were 19 or something. And when he was 4, he went to see Father Christmas, tells Father Christmas what he wants for Christmas. And then he says, "Can I ask you another question, please, Father Christmas?" He said, "Yes, little boy." He said, "Can I have your job when you're dead?" And at weekends, I was on call very often. My wife was on call on a very arty thing, taking people around important buildings. And we'd toss up, and whoever lost, I had to take Henry with them. And one time she was at Whittick Hall with about 19 adults, and they're going round with a proper guide. He told them properly. And of course they eventually come to a stop, and he says, "Right, any questions?" 19 embarrassed adults, one little 5-year-old boy, "I've got a question," and everybody titters, you know. He said, "Yes, little boy." He said, "What kind of animal is that on that tile there?" And the fella said, "Well, what do you think it is?" He said, "I think it's a porcupine." He said, "Oh, that's very good. A lot of children of your age would say it's a hedgehog. Congratulations, very good. Right, any more questions?" 19 embarrassed adults, one little boy, "I've got another question." Now everybody's really tittering. He says, "Yes, little boy, what's your question?" He says, "Which planet is nearest to the sun?" Everybody's really tittering now. The guy stroked his chin. He said, "I've never been asked this before." He said, "Is it Mars? Is it Mercury?" Henry says, "Correct." And when I got him, of course, I had awful trouble because I had to go and visit people, and I remember vividly seeing this old lady, and I examined her, warning Henry to be on his best behaviour. And I examined her, and I was telling the children what was wrong. And of course Henry whips in, picks up my stethoscope, puts the things around his neck, and he's rubbing the bell of the stethoscope on this lady, and everybody was laughing. I think he probably did the more good than me at the time. Anyway, the reason I labour this is because to hold his attention was quite difficult. Even when I answered the phone when I'm on call, "Dr. Shevlin speaking," he said, "Don't say you're Dr. Shevlin, say you're Henry's dad." Oh my God, all right. Henry's dad speaking, and if I had to tell him a story, can you imagine the challenge with this kid with his wild imagination? So he would have to be in the story. So I invented these stories about a little boy called Henry, and he had a pet elephant called Ho-Ho that lived in a tree, and in the morning this little elephant would fall to the ground, become a giant full-size elephant. Henry would put the roller skates on the elephant's feet, get on his back, and go off having these adventures. And they were quite engaging, these stories, and my eldest boy said, "Why don't you write them down?" And I've written them down in draft. Right. Then one day an incident happened, and I remember this verbatim. This lady brought her 7-year-old daughter. She said, "You've got to help, doctor." "What's the problem?" "Oh, since the next door neighbour died, she's been beside herself. She's having nightmares, panic attacks, won't let me out of her sight." I said, "But I'm only a bum GP. What makes you think I can help?" She said those awful words, which I remember to this very day. Doctor, you never let us down. Right, I said, here's what to do. I've written these stories called The Amazing Adventures of Henry and Ho-Ho. Don't forget, kids, these were just in draft with no pictures. I said, I want you to read her one of these stories every night and then phone me up and tell me if she likes them. After 10 days or whatever, she phoned up and said that her daughter adored the stories, as most children do actually. And then I took a few more details about the case, and I wrote a story in which this little girl appeared with Henry and Ho in an adventure dealing with death and how to cope with the death of the next door neighbour. The cure was instant, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm onto something here. Because when children are dozing off to sleep, having a bedtime story from a beloved, trusted parent, they're in a very interesting situation, a very suggestible state to put in good ideas. And for a while afterwards, I was always watching for children who had a particular problem that I could help with. And eventually it turned into a book with stories to help children with eczema, warts, overweight, bedwetting. One little boy had been a victim of a road traffic accident and was still having nightmares about it. And we published this book, and it is available. This is the book, The Amazing Adventures of Henry and Ho-Ho. You know, as a writer, you don't want to make any money on it. You just love sharing it with people you care about. And you can get this, you can get access to this, you can see them on my website, which is www.bernardshevlin.com, and you can buy these on Amazon still, I think. And I wrote two other stories. One of them was a book on neurology with two American professors. It's a nice, easy read, and it's very undersold because it's so intelligible and easy to reference. And I think people who aren't necessarily doctors would quite enjoy this. And my latest book is, of course, this one, 10-Minute Treat. You know, life is all about time. If we steal your time, we're stealing your life. That's why I like short stories. And the genius of this, with the 17 short stories, is in the index. It tells you roughly how long it takes to read and what it's about. And then you can say, oh my God, I'm stuck in a doctor's waiting room, or I'm stuck at an airport, or even a bad attack of constipation. You can say, this is a 10-minute constipation I've got here. Let me find a story, and it's brilliant for getting rid of it. So it's www.bernardshevlin.com, or you can get me on Amazon. And those are the stories of my writing and the 3 books. If any of you read any of them, I will be glad to buy you a pint when this is all over. Many thanks for listening.